I just finished a briefing with the National Hurricane Center. Based on the 5 o'clock weather update, we know Matthew is moving more west toward Florida. Exactly what we've been seeing the last couple days. It's about 400 miles southeast of Palm Beach County. The projected eye of the storm is extremely close to Florida now. Matthew has maximum sustained winds of 120 miles per hour. It remains as a Category 3 hurricane and is expected to strengthen as it gets closer to Florida. We will likely start to see impacts on our state within the next 24 hours and last through the weekend. That means people have less than 24 hours left to prepare, evacuate, and shelter. There are hurricane warnings and watches along the entire east coast of our state. Tropical storm watches are now in effect to Florida's Gulf Coast. It's the first time with this hurricane. This is serious. Having a plan in place could mean the difference between life and death when it comes to a storm of this magnitude. Here are the impacts. Heavy rain. Forecasts project 4 to 7 inches from the Upper Keys northward to the coastal east central Florida. It could be 10 inches in some areas. And let's remember, when we have storms like this, we get bands. And sometimes those bands drop way more water than that. Storm surge. Heights are expected to be above ground. Forecasts project 5 to 8 feet. From Sebastian Inlet to the Florida-Georgia line. 3 to 5 feet from Deerfield Beach to Sebastian Inlet. 1 to 2 feet from the Upper Keys to Deerfield Beach. This surge can be deadly. If you go back to just what we just had with the Category 1 in the Panhandle, we had storm surge as much as 10 feet. And when this water comes in, it comes in fast and it goes out fast. Please do not risk going out on the beach and trying to surf. Again, this can kill you and we cannot save you. We're going to have rip currents. We're going to have beach erosion. We have the chance for tornadoes. And we're going to have hurricane force winds. Wind strength is our biggest concern, regardless if the storm directly hits us or not. The probability of high wind speeds has continued to increase as the forecast develops. The probability for hurricane strength winds continues to increase. But again, everything can quickly change. These are projections. And it's just a few degree change can have a dramatic impact on what happens to our state. We have to prepare and assume we will have a direct hit by this catastrophic hurricane. We are preparing for the worst, we are hoping for the best, and we cannot take any chances. Based on the current forecast, I have now requested of President Obama to declare an emergency declaration in 26 counties. I've also requested direct federal assistance to meet pre-landfall critical emergency needs of our communities. This includes resources from the federal government, including food, water, and tarps. I hope the President quickly responds. Based on the current forecast and to shift more towards Florida, I am activating an additional 1,000 members of the National Guard. That means 1,500 members of the National Guards are now activated. Per my direction, they are currently stationed in North, Central, and South Florida, so they can be deployed immediately. In addition to this, we have over 6,000 members of the National Guard ready to be deployed if needed. Based on the current forecast, I directed the Department of Transportation to suspend all tolls in the affected areas of the state. This includes the entire Florida Turnpike, Alligator Alley, Central Florida Expressway Authority, and the Miami-Dade Expressway Authority. This expands my direction from this morning that only included suspension of tolls in counties with evacuation orders. I have directed state staff to be deployed into every eastern coastal county to help assist with the recovery and response efforts. The state has water, food, and other life-saving materials stationed in North, Central, and South Florida. These resources will be able to be deployed in affected areas immediately. I have directed state offices to be closed on Thursday and Friday in 26 counties along Florida's east coast. I have directed 45 state parks to be closed, all parks located east of 95 and in the Florida Keys. This is a dangerous storm. It is never too early to evacuate. If you live in a low-lying area, if you live on a barrier island, or if your area is prone to flooding, get out. Don't wait for an order. Get out now. Where you're going to see traffic pick up as more people take this seriously, and we go from voluntary to mandatory evacuations. So if you know you're going to evacuate, don't wait to evacuate. Get out now. It could be the decision between life and death. Current evacuations include Palm Beach County, voluntary evacuations have begun. Broward County, voluntary evacuations for mobile homes and low-lying areas have begun. St. Johns County, mandatory evacuations begin at 6 a.m. tomorrow for barrier islands and low-lying areas. Duval County, evacuations have started for Jacksonville Beach, Atlantic Beach, and Neptune Beach. Brevard County, mandatory evacuations for barrier islands at 3 p.m. today. St. Lucie County, voluntary evacuations have already started. Mandatory evacuations begin tomorrow morning. And here's if after the 5 o'clock conversation with National Hurricane Center, everything's getting moved up because what everybody's seeing is this is getting closer and closer and closer to our coast. Flagler County, voluntary evacuations have already started. Indian River, voluntary evacuations have started for barrier islands. Mandatory evacuations begin tomorrow at 8 a.m. for barrier islands, mobile and manufactured homes and low-lying areas. Martin County, mandatory evacuations are in effect for Sewell's Point, Hutchinson Island, Jupiter Island, and mobile homes. And just think, once these go to mandatory, think of what the traffic's going to be like. So move now. Nassau County, mandatory evacuations begin at 6 a.m. tomorrow for beaches and coastal areas. Volusia County, voluntary evacuations of barrier islands today. Mandatory evacuations begin tomorrow morning. Miami-Dade County, voluntary evacuations for mobile homes. I've spoken to all 67 Florida counties and stressed to them the importance of getting their evacuation plan ready now. Life safety is our #1 priority. The state stands ready with resources to help counties with safe sheltering and evacuation if any local communities need it. One of the issues we're going to deal with, we're going to have a lot of people evacuating, so we're working diligently to get these shelters open and get them staffed. Our #1 priority is safety. The storm has already killed multiple people, and we should expect the same impact in Florida if people do not take this seriously. I can tell you, after Irming, just south of us, there was a mandatory evacuation area. A lady didn't evacuate. It got up to 1.5 feet. She stayed in her house because she had 4 pets. Got to 1.5 feet. She realized she was going to die. She walked outside. It got up to, I think, 3.5 to 4 feet in her house. If there hadn't been a high water vehicle 2 doors down, she would have died. The water came in fast and moved out fast. She would never have survived. If an evacuation order is issued for your area, leave immediately. Once the storm comes, we can't put first responders at risk to save your life. If you make a decision not to leave, we cannot send somebody in to save you and put their life at risk. You must leave before it's too late. Think about it. We can rebuild your house. We can rebuild your business. We cannot rebuild your life. Follow the directions of your local officials. This is serious, and your safety depends on you being prepared and staying alert to all warnings and orders. Many coastal counties are preparing to open shelters today and tomorrow. These are shelters for people with special needs. We have shelters for pets, and we have shelters for the general population. There are shelters for everyone. I encourage everyone to download the free American Red Cross emergency app. It shows any open Red Cross shelters in real time. The Red Cross has 97 shelters scheduled to be open throughout Florida over the next 2 days. There's no excuse not to evacuate if you think you might need to. If you're on Florida's East Coast, you should know now where you will go if you have to evacuate. Think about this. Don't wait until you lose power and then think, oh, where am I going to go? If you're able to leave your home early and go now before there's traffic, go. Don't take any risk. I urge you to visit floridadisaster.org. Here you can find your closest shelter, as well as information on road closures. It is very important to know where a shelter is if you think you're going to use a shelter. Don't wait until you lose power. Now is the time to know your evacuation zone. Don't wait until you're going to lose power. Don't wait until you know you have to go. Find out now. So you can check the website and check with your local officials or your local news. This can save your life. I've been in constant communication with Colonel Kirk with the Army Corps of Engineers over Lake Okeechobee. I've also talked to General Turner, who is responsible, who is the Southeast Region General. They're taking all the precautions, but this time they believe the lake levels are low enough to handle the rain we expect in that area. Our water management districts are inspecting key areas of their flood control systems, including canals and levees. There are no issues reported at this time, but again, there are projections on how much rain we're going to get and where we're going to get it. You know, it's after the fact that we'll figure these things out. There are school closures in 28 counties along Florida's East Coast. Check your district's website and listen to the local news for more details. The following universities and colleges will be closed. Check their website for further details. UF, FAU, University of North Florida, University of Central Florida, Embry-Riddle, Nova, Eastern Florida State College, Broward College, Daytona State College, Florida State College at Jacksonville, Indian State River College, Miami-Dade College, Palm Beach State College, Seminole State College, Valencia State College, Barry University. With a storm of this magnitude, we are very concerned about prolonged power outages. We're going to have power outages, no question. We know that when there is no power, lives are at risk. I've stayed in constant contact with utilities across the state, and many have reported they have already pre-positioned resources to ensure they can respond quickly. We did a conference call yesterday, and I asked each of them, are you repositioned? How are you doing? Do you need more resources? Do you know where you're going to get those resources? I talked to Florida Power and Light a few minutes ago, and they have 7,000 people coming to the state. But all of our utilities have to pre-position, and they have to know where they're going to get additional resources. We are going to lose power. Once the storm hits, our utilities will also start reporting outage and restoral information to the state. Department of Transportation has halted all their roadwork projects on interstates and evacuation routes. Department of Transportation, DOT is ensuring that there is fuel and road rangers on Florida's turnpikes. If you want information on road and bridge closures, go to fl511.com. Highway safety has troops positioned in major corridors, south to north, east to west. Their top priority is to help move people to safety. Florida Department of Law Enforcement and Fish and Wildlife are also preparing to deploy troops to help with safe evacuations and response and recovery. They've got FWC has high water vehicles and rescue teams pre-positioned. There are no reported fuel shortages. What we're seeing is we've seen some spot areas where a station might be out, but we don't have any fuel shortages in the state. And we have reserves on standby. The current fuel supply in the state will last for 8 days, even if all ports close. The current fuel supply in the state will last for 8 days if all of our ports were closed. We're starting to have to evacuate hospitals. Cape Canaveral Hospital, Baptist Medical Center in Jacksonville Beach and Fernandina Beach, Florida Hospital in Ormond Beach, Florida Hospital in New Smyrna, Rustolph Medical Center in Rockledge. We have 3 state veterans nursing homes on the East Coast. All have generators and are preparing staff and supplies to care for their residents. Visit Florida is working with tourists to make sure, and local tourism officials to make sure all of our tourists know what they should do. We're providing all of them the options. If you're visiting our state and you're not sure what to do, you can get on those websites, go to floridadisaster.org and find out where you can find a shelter. Now is the time to help each other. We all know in our neighborhoods who the elderly are, who those have special needs are. Anybody that might have a need that we can help them with, go check on them. Don't wait until something happens. Ask them now how you can be helpful to them. Don't wait until the storm hits. We all have to work together to make sure we make it through this potentially catastrophic storm. Each of us have to have 3 days of water, 3 days of food. Have your medicine. Have a battery-powered radio. Have backup batteries. Charge your cell phone. It might be your only source of information and communication, and keep it charged because the odds of losing power is great. If Matthew directly impacts Florida, the destruction could be catastrophic, and you will need to be prepared. You have to prepare yourself. We are preparing for the worst, we're hoping for the best, and we're not going to take any chances. Florida knows how to prepare, and everybody has to take this seriously. We're not going to take any chances, and you shouldn't take any chances, and don't wait. Be ready now. I talked to the Attorney General an hour or so ago, and we've already heard of price gouging. She has a toll-free number, 1-866-9-NO-SCAM, NOSCAM. You can also go to myfloridalegal.com. If you know of any price gouging, if you'll do that, and the Attorney General will work on it. If you're evacuating and can't find available accommodations, please go to visitflorida.com. There's a banner up top with more information. But we're starting to see hotels fill up, so you should do that as quickly as possible. Again, if you think you're going to need to evacuate, don't wait. Why wait? You're going to if you do, you're going to get stuck in traffic. It's going to be harder to get to the shelter or to get to wherever you're going, to a family or a friend's house. We're focused on protecting life. We're going to continue to provide updates on this life-threatening storm as it develops and approaches our state. If you live in an area that will not be impacted by the storm, and now we're starting to see so much of the state that looks like might be impacted, and want to volunteer, go to redcross.org. I'm going to get my next briefing from the National Hurricane Center first thing in the morning. We'll be continuing to brief on the weather all night by the state meteorologist. I'll be back in Tallahassee to monitor what's happening tonight, and we'll figure out what we're going to do tomorrow. But everybody's got to take this seriously. It keeps heading west. It keeps getting closer to our coast. We have to assume we're going to have a direct impact. I'll be glad to answer any questions anybody has.
Governor, for many people, this is the first time they've
absolutely
of this nature. They hear evacuation, they're taking off. Where would you suggest they go? I mean, we have one shelter open in Duval County, but right now, and with hotels filling up, where do they go?
Well, the mayor can talk about the shelters here.
Yeah, there's one open now, and there'll be 4 more, Director. There'll be 4 more opening tomorrow, correct? Total of 4 will be open tomorrow, so 3 more tomorrow. And if needed, we have the capacity to open additional shelters. The information on those shelters would be at
630 City.
Dial 630 City. You can also download the Jax Ready app.
But we're opening shelters around the state. You want to say that again, DJ? You want to get it down?
Yeah, and I want to put an exclamation point on something the governor said, specifically as it relates to our city and our county. Zone A and B, the beaches cities and those that are on Zone A and B, look up your zone. This is an order. You need to go because we are expecting a hit, and when it hits, you will be on your own. As the governor said, we will not send, it would be irresponsible to send public safety folks into a place because you decided not to evacuate. I want to stress this. Your city's ready. Your public safety officials are ready. Your independent agencies are ready. We need you as citizens to be ready. Zone A and B, leave.
It is mandatory
now
for Zone A and B.
It's an order. Look, that's a semantic. We are not going to go in and enforce. We're not going to send people in and physically remove them from their homes. But I am directly stating this is an order. You need to leave. If you do not leave, you will be on your own under potential catastrophic conditions.
And Mayor, I'm not arguing that point, but some businesses have called and said, it's not mandatory, we're going to remain open, and that's why they wanted to hear that word.
The businesses need to close and they need to leave.
People are putting their lives at risk. They shouldn't be doing that. I mean, I've got daughters, I've got grandkids. I want them to survive this. So, anything else?
Are there any decision on the interstate, but particularly I-10, of making that one way?
So what we'll do is we are monitoring the amount of traffic we have. We were talking about that earlier with the sheriff. We have support from DOT, support from Highway Safety. We'll have support from the National Guard. We will make that decision if we need to. But the best thing is if we don't need to do it, if people evacuate early, all right, then we won't have to do it. But if we have to do it, we will. It takes additional resources, but we'll do it if we have to. And that's true for everywhere along the East Coast.
Roughly what wind speed do you guys typically float the bridges now?
Up here,
39.
generally, yeah.
40.
It's generally around the states 30 to 40.
30,
Sustained.
40.
Yeah.
Do you guys know when you anticipate winds to get to that level? What time? What day?
Oh, we're already seeing gusts of 25 to the National Weather Service here. We're already seeing gusts of 25 to 30 here.
Could be by Thursday night, early Friday morning.
For this part of the state, clearly by Friday morning.
Yeah.
Governor, you said you had 1,500 National Guardsmen stationed. What will they be doing?
Well, what we'll do is they'll do search and rescue efforts after the fact, right? They'll help with fish and wildlife. What we did with Ermine is we went south and north, and afterwards they worked together to do all the search and rescue together. But then on top of that, they'll work on roads, They'll work on public safety, but they'll be working with the local community. So as an example, when we met before, this will be directed by your sheriff, but they will provide whatever resources you need with your local law enforcement.
Governor, you've asked everyone to get prepared, and I know up here today there were stations running out of gas. You know, it was happening further south yesterday. Have you been monitoring that and making sure there's...
Yeah, we've talked to the fuel suppliers. There's plenty of fuel right now. There'll be isolated instances where somebody will be out of gas, but there'll be more gas coming in. We've pre-positioned fuel, so we don't believe we're going to have an issue with fuel. So yeah, but it's no different than there's some of the grocery stores that have been out of water for a short period of time, but we're not short of water. There might be a shortage for a short period of time. I mean, we've seen some of the pictures of the shelves, but they're filling back up.
I know you asked.
And plus, we have plenty in store. We have plenty of water ourselves if we had it.
You asked for the federal declaration of
Right.
emergency, but has FEMA been in touch with you? Are they positioned anywhere?
So FEMA is at our State Emergency Operations Center. They have, I think there were probably 3 people there this morning when I left. And so they've been there for probably the last 3 days. So they're working directly with us with regard to this. But the decision is clearly at the presidential level. It's not a decision by FEMA. It's a decision by the president.
And why do you need that? I know you've declared a state of emergency, but why do you need that?
What you do, I mean, they provide additional resources. So far, there'll be more that we need, but so far it's food, water, and tarps. That's our initial issue. I mean, but you just go through. Now it's a preparation side, and then you're going to go to the restoration side. And so, well, we're going to hopefully won't have the rescue side. Hopefully everybody's going to get prepared, and we're not going to be rescuing people, but we'll be dealing with that, and then we're going to restore. I mean, one of the big issues, we're going to lose power. I mean, if you stop and think about the East Coast, we haven't had a storm like this in a long time, and so you're going to have. There's a lot of there's a lot of trees that are going to be down. It's going to put down a lot of power lines. I mean, if you go to just look at what happened with Irming, it was Category 1, and people were without power for 6 days in Tallahassee, and they weren't even on the coast. So that tells you what happens afterwards. So we're going to lose power. There's no question about it.
We'll take one more. Thanks, everyone.
We do have other questions for the city. I know the governor has to leave, but
Thank you, Governor.
Yeah.
And I think after the Q&A, the sheriff and his team are going to update you on traffic flow.
that was the situation we wanted to have. That if you could tell us what, with people leaving now, what's happening, what's going on with our evacuation locally.
Sure, and you guys feel free to stay or go or however you want to do it. It's up to you guys. So
Okay, we're going to, you need anything else from us?
Well, we were live on air right now that there were people wondering at this point if they're being told to evacuate, do anything different with the roads here locally.
no, so we just like this morning, nothing's changed from this morning when we talked about using some alternate routes. You know, think about the most popular roadways are going to be the most filled up at this point. So what we've done all day is monitor traffic. Obviously, we monitored that through rush hour as well. We had a rush hour today, like we do every day, with some rain involved. So it created some typical challenges for us. We are continuing to monitor that, and that will be part of the equation when we talk about the contraflow of I-10. If we get to that point, we'll make that decision tonight. We'll discuss it, look at it, talk about the forecast of the storm and who else may be impacted in terms of an evacuation as the storm changes, and it changes every forecast. Something new seems to come up. So we'll constantly evaluate that, and we will get that out ASAP once that determination has been made, if we decide we need to do it. So the routes from earlier today were enough to handle the 200 and some odd thousand people that we had asked to leave. So if everyone did it in the timetable that we laid out, we've got plenty of roadway for them to do that. If we add people to that equation, we need to start talking about opening up
People
different.
leaving now, what are you doing for security at the beaches since you've asked them to
Right.
evacuate?
So that's part of our equation as well. So we have resources there. That's also part of what we talked to the state about having the Guard come in and assist us with that. We're not sure how long the beaches will be evacuated. So, if they're 3 days, 4 days, 5 days with, nobody allowed to go back to the beaches, we'll need to reach out to the state for resources to help with that. So,
And have they been blocking? I mean, will that be a determination that you will not allow people back in?
well, it depends on the damage. It depends on the damage that's been done. It's a constant evaluation. So, yes, if we get there, absolutely, we won't be able to, or we'll have to gauge, temper that and gauge it a little bit to different parts of the beaches. So, something again we have to work with the beaches mayors and the beaches community on, and we'll continue to have those conversations tonight as we roll into tomorrow.
Mayor Curry, it wasn't mentioned specifically earlier today, but I know we distinguished A and B, but what about folks in mobile homes or prefab homes, which is something we talk about in these storms? Is the concern area for them broader across the city? Your maps would indicate that.
Sure. I mean, if you're not in Zone A or B, but you're in a mobile home, it would be wise for you to evacuate, to go to a shelter, go to somewhere with family and friends, or get out of town. But I want to stress the evacuation zones. We said this morning to give people plenty of time, and there's still time. Take this seriously. There's no need to panic. There's no need to be afraid. You got to keep your head about you. You got to get organized, but you've got to evacuate these areas.
What about small businesses? I mean, Jim mentioned it, and we certainly heard it through social media. Some people are, for lack of a better term, confused without the word mandatory in there.
This is a direct statement. If you're in Zone A or B, if you're at the beach, leave. The governor said it. You can rebuild a business, you can rebuild a home, you cannot rebuild a life. Catastrophic conditions are likely to hit Jacksonville. The storm surge at the beach could be 6 to 8 feet. Anything over 3 feet is life-threatening. You need to close your business if you're there, and you need to go. It's just you need to go. It's not an encouragement. It's a direct statement. You need to go.
You got any of the shelters for pets? Any pet owners? Any
Director, do you want to address talk about pets, please?
Yes, good afternoon. We have opened the Legends Center, which is a general population and pet-friendly shelter. As we go through this process and more people evacuate and need shelters, we'll be opening additional shelters in the schools. The reason we did not open those today was obviously because school was still in session. As we move in tomorrow's time frame and more people evacuate, we'll open schools. Once those shelters get to 50% capacity, we'll open additional shelters.
So you're thinking 4 shelters tomorrow will be announced at school locations. That will come about what time, do you think?
In the morning, once we get those operational in time to service the needs of the people who are evacuating by mid-morning.
A lot of people, again, are going to be confused. Should they be boarding up houses? Should they be taping up windows? What should they be doing? I mean, I know you're saying the preps, but this is the first time for many people.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Look, we've talked about the preps. Absolutely. You should be boarding up your home. You should be prepared for strong winds. You should be prepared for flooding. You should be prepared for power outages. If you're not in an evacuation area and you decide to stay, by the way, if you're not in an evacuation area and you can get out of town, I would encourage you to go if you have that capability. But board up homes. Be prepared. I mean, we've walked through it. You can go to coj.net to see all the emergency preparedness. You can download the Jax Ready app as well.
Do you encourage people to shelter within? I mean, if you're not in that zone, because that's some of the problems we saw with Floyd is so many people left that didn't need to leave.
The encouragement, we gave people ample notice this morning. And direct statement, if you're in Zone A or B, go. If folks follow those orders and other folks decide to evacuate, that will minimize any roadway problems. It is our hope that us stressing it this morning, stressing it again here today, that if you're in those zones, you are packed, prepared. If not on the road, you are about to get on the road.